This week on Charger Bulletin News, COVID cases start to decline at the university, classes go remote, and an exclusive interview with a resident of Winchester Hall. All of this and more on Charger Bulletin News. Hello and welcome to Charger Bulletin News. I'm Richard Boulding, and due to the university's continued pause on in-person gatherings, we are continuing to bring the news to you virtually. We have a lot to show you this week, so let's dive in. On October 14th, the University of New Haven reached a peak in COVID-19 cases. The school reported 142 active cases of the virus. Luckily, the university has seen a steady decline in the number of cases. As of Monday, October 19th, the COVID-19 dashboard states that there are 81 active cases of the virus. Restrictions have been put into place to ensure the safety of students, faculty, and staff. The current number of positive cases is 81. The total number of people in quarantine is 541. 401 people are staying on campus, with 140 staying off of campus. The quarantine number may fluctuate due to contact tracing. Lastly, the number of students in isolation is 81. The number of students isolating on campus is 57, and the number of isolating off of campus is 24. The number of isolation beds available is 71. Please note that the off-campus isolation number includes residents, students, who decided to stay in university-sponsored isolation housing. The university has also adopted a color system to determine the level of potential risk. The COVID task force has declared level orange, or moderate risk. This means that new cases are increasing and may continue to do so for the next few days. The COVID-19 task force reminds all students, faculty, and staff to wear a mask, wash hands often, and maintain social distancing while on campus.
Last week, we talked about the rise in COVID-19 cases. Jada Clark checked in on student Tyler Wells to see how he's been handling his quarantine.
So my name is Tyler Wells. I'm a sophomore communications journalism major, and currently I am quarantining, isolating, whatever you want to call it, in my house off campus.
So throughout your quarantine, I know it's been kind of hectic, but how's your overall quarantine experience been?
You know, it's weird. Because everyone kind of went through it in March and April, to a little bit, but it's just like when I had to set myself off from the rest of my house members, it really got to be just kind of lonely. You're left to yourself to entertain yourself, right? And having to do that is difficult because we typically rely on other people to give us entertainment, and so having to find a way without absolutely driving yourself insane was hard. Every day that goes by, you get more of an urge to like want to get out, and it's just something hard to combat because it's such a natural instinct. It's affected a lot of people so far, so if they can get through it, it's kind of reassuring to know that you can some way find a way to get through it.
So I know school's probably like the last thing you're worrying about right now, but how have you been handling your schoolwork, your meals, and communicating with other people?
Yeah, it's been difficult. I know a lot of people have been mostly online this semester. I'm the opposite. Most of my classes have been in person. So having to shift all those onto Zoom isn't necessarily that difficult for me, but I know for my teachers or my professors, they've had to find accommodating ways to make sure you're involved in class. Meals, really left to my own accord. I had a full meal plan, and I'm someone that really relies on having like the buffet style that the dining hall provides and being able to eat whatever I need. So for me, it's been difficult having to scrounge together food. It sucks not being able to see people. It definitely does. It takes kind of a toll that you don't really realize when you're around people, how much that interaction really means. But I mean, being able to fill that with people calling me or checking in other ways has helped. It's helped a lot. Kind of knowing that it's not, even though you're alone, it's not completely alone. It definitely helps ease that kind of isolating feeling.
What are your feelings towards the actions that led up to the quarantine of Winchester Hall?
It was so of course it's tough because some students, obviously when you get to this point, especially when you haven't, our school did a really good job of not having any outbreaks up until that weekend or whenever the super spreader event was. It's something that coming into the school year I kind of figured would be inevitable. I come from the point of view that you can be upset about it, you could be mad at people, but at the same time, like, life's going to keep moving forward. So there's no point in hanging on the actions that spread it.
Do you think the school handled the situation correctly, or do you think there was a different way they could have handled it?
Honestly, I think they handled it pretty well. When you consider how many people live in that dorm, how many people are on campus in general, that are still pretty much interacting with each other, I think being able to limit the amount of cases like that shows that the university was pretty well equipped for this and well prepared.
My last question is, how do you see the rest of the semester playing out?
Man, that's a good question. The glass half full side of me wants it to continue or thinks it will continue because they've done a good job limiting it. Of course, at the same time, that's kind of a double-edged sword, is because to prevent a further outbreak, you almost have to kind of keep students off campus. But I think that we're kind of past the point where it would be a full shutdown. And I think that they're showing that by extending the in-person class just barely, the date for no in-person classes. I think that shows a desire to keep the year going, and I think they're going to do a good job with that. It's important not to take for granted the interactions that you have with people, kind of the freedoms that you experience with being healthy, and just to realize how quick it can turn. And I think all that's important to realize, and it's made me understand that more having been in lockdown.
Thanks, Jada. You can read more about Tyler's experience on chargerbulletin.com. As a precaution, the university announced that all classes will move to remote learning. The suspension of in-person classes has been extended to October 26th. All students who are not currently in quarantine or isolation are encouraged to limit their interactions with anyone other than their family members or designated family units. Resident students should only go to campus to pick up food or receive a COVID-19 test. Commuter students and those living off campus are not permitted on campus until the 26th. Lastly, all resident students are required to get tested between October 13th and October 24th. Students can sign up for testing through Yale New Haven Health or find an off-campus location. Commuter students are encouraged to get tested through an off-campus location. And now, Emily's got the latest news in entertainment. Anything new from the past few days?
Thanks, Nova. The entertainment world has been quiet the past few days, but that doesn't mean there's nothing to report on. Let's see what's new this week. Ariana Grande posted on Twitter last Wednesday announcing the release of her new album. Fans began speculating the name after Grande posted a video on Instagram typing the word positions on a keyboard. Ariana Grande's website now has 2 separate countdown clocks, one for October 23rd and the other for October 30th. This will be the pop star's 6th studio album. And get ready for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3 has finally started filming in Queens. Fans spotted no parking signs across the city under the film's working title, Serenity Now. It's currently unknown if the actors are on set, especially since lead actor Tom Holland is still filming Uncharted in Spain. The film is still expected to be released in theaters December 2021. And production for The Batman comes to the US to continue filming in Chicago. Residents are posting pictures of the set on social media, and it seems that fans are excited about the film's release. The Batman is set to release in theaters on March 4th, 2022. That's all for entertainment this week. Joe, anything new in sports for our Chargers?
Thanks, Emily. Due to the extension of online learning, our athletes have to wait hopefully only one more week before they can return to practices. However, it is not all bad news for our athletes. I spoke with Dan Rude, and this week, the Northeast 10 will most likely be releasing the men's and women's basketball schedules, which will start around mid-January. So that means Charger sports aren't that far around the corner.
As for the rest of sports, they're going to continue to finalize details about when they could potentially play. That's all we have for this week in sports. Back to you, Neva and Richard.
Thanks, Joe. I'm very excited to check out the lineup for basketball. Are you ready to dance? The university collaborated with Loop Live for their virtual concert series, Charger Bulletin. Rising star Rico Nasty performed last week, singing some of her hit songs. During her set, Miss Nasty performed Ringtone Remix, Tia Tamara, iPhone, and more. Students were able to participate in a Q&A with Miss Nasty towards the end of her performance. Charger Bulletin performances are held Wednesdays at 9 p.m. through Loop Live. Students can tune into this week's event featuring ACES by creating an account through looplive.com. You must use your university email in order to have access to new events.
As a replacement for the second presidential debate, both candidates held separate town hall meetings on October 15th. Former Vice President Joe Biden held his event in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The event was moderated by George Stephanopoulos and aired on ABC. Donald Trump held his event in Miami, Florida, with Savannah Guthrie as the moderator. His town hall aired on NBC. Both candidates took questions from the public, tackling topics about COVID-19, Roe v. Wade, and the Supreme Court. The town halls were aired simultaneously, causing a divide in viewers. The scheduling conflict forced voters to decide which candidate to watch. It was recently announced that there will be a third and final presidential debate on Thursday, October 22nd. Well, that's all the time we have left for this week. Be sure to check out the next online edition of Charger Bulletin that publishes every other Monday on chargerbulletin.com. Stay up to date by following us on social media at Charger Bulletin. Thanks for tuning in. From all of us at Charger Bulletin, have a good week, and we'll see you next time.